You're going to need to stop apologizing for having a backbone. If you've completely lost your edge, or maybe even never had one to begin with, then more than likely it's because one or more of your three core desires were violated. And therefore, now having you live a life where that aggression, the anger, has been suppressed completely, or you just bottle and bottle until something just absolutely blows up. And I'm going to show you how accessing this dark side and channeling all this energy is not going to put your character into question, but rather allow you to put yourself first. What are the three core desires? Number one, I matter. Number two, I am seen. And then number three, I have agency. Now, I go way more into detail inside of my sovereign integration system, where if you want to have complete free access to that and the community of other like-minded men on the same journey, link down below for my waitlist. I matter is pretty much essentially, you want to know at the base of who you are, that you can be loved, you can be accepted, you can be welcomed, even if you are not a millionaire, somebody who has all the cars, someone who's loved by all the women. We all want to know that if all that's stripped away, do I have inherent value? I am seen. Are we able to reveal ourselves without having to always carefully design a persona? We all live our lives, for the most part, in a mimicked state. So we're mimicking what is deemed acceptable. And then number three, I have agency, knowing that you have control. But I do have to mention one caveat with this. It's not about controlling others. There is an element of controlling your surroundings, having responsibility over them, but it's more about having governance over your internal state, your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own emotions. Knowing this is going to make the next segment so much easier, because we're going to create the people pleaser, the yes man archetype. And then I'm going to show you from the bottom up what causes us to be withheld, not able to access our aggression, feeling we're suppressing it 24/7. And I'll tell you, knowing this is almost like being in a pitch black room. You can't see anything, and you're smashing your shin, banging your head against who the hell knows what, and then finally turning on that light switch to then see exactly what was going on. So we'll start at the very bottom with our core wound. The biggest core wound that a people pleaser, the yes man, has is that he believes to some level that he doesn't matter. Now, why would that be the case? Well, let's imagine we'll come up with an example. You had a father who was very verbally aggressive. He was angry all the time. And the stress of his life, he would let out onto you. And the language he used, the tone he would say it in, and just overall everything else surrounding that situation led you to believe to some level that you don't matter. You were able to be the punching bag. You were able to be the person that, people can just dump on. So if his center, the wound, is I don't matter, how does this now manifest? And this is where it gets really, really interesting. And this is depending on the temperament of the individual. So for me, when I had the wound that I don't matter, I manifested it into a people-pleasing state. For some other men, they use that frustration, anger as a way to exercise power, to tell everyone what to do. So they open businesses, they climb the hierarchy in their company, so that now, how could you tell me I don't matter? I am the owner, I'm the boss, I tell people what to do all the time. Are they operating from the same place? Yeah. They're operating from the same core wound. It's just, it can flourish in a different direction. As it flourishes, as time goes on, he will develop complexes. He develops an inferiority complex, a father complex. All of these act as guiding figures, cautionary tales, because remember, complexes, they incorporate the thoughts, the memories, the event. It's like an emotional knot within you that over time develops itself into a voice. And this is what actually begins to sprout. And what I really love about the analogy is it's almost like a tree. And until we can actually deal with this core wound, nothing will actually ever change. And so we need to actually get to this core wound, heal it, in order for us to then finally actually integrate. Because the misconception about it is people think we need to remove the parts of us that are, let's say, people-pleasing and yes men, but you don't want to do that. Why? Because what you've developed over time is strong empathy, amazing awareness of how people are feeling, their emotions. I can tell if I'm talking to somebody, whether there's something distressing them. I've spent so many years being so focused on the tiny details of their expressions that I've actually, over time, have this sort of intuition as to how they're feeling. How do we then actually heal this portion of ourselves? Well, first it begins with grieving and not building upwards just yet. Because if you try to build upwards without having to contend with this, that's when you can run into the scenario where you just become a more sophisticated version of a people pleaser. You just develop a stronger and a more effective mask. Doesn't mean it's healthier for you at all. It is actually you just sort of vacating your soul and living your life partially lived, not really even fully there. So instead we need to grieve. But what are you grieving exactly? You're grieving your past. The little boy who felt he didn't matter because of this authority figure or this parental figure or the community he was in that led him to believe that he had to perform all these tasks. He had to adopt these beliefs that aren't his in order to just have this core need met. The most important thing about this section of shadow work, and this is the hardest part for men, is to allow the vulnerability to flow. Because you want to choke it and hold it. This is why having a community of men who are on the same path makes this so much easier. Because you know the judgment's not going to be there. So it allows you to relax. Because you have to let it flow. And it's once you can get to the base of your pain, only then can you realize the truth. And the truth is that you are the one that provides the core need. This is where the self-acceptance portion comes in. The radical self-acceptance, the self-love that most of us gloss over because it sounds too foo-foo and all this kind of stuff. But the reality is it is absolutely true. Understanding that it's only at the base of your despair, the base of your grief, of letting go of, not meaning forgetting, but letting go of the story, letting go of the beliefs that you've carried because they're not true. They've just been manufactured from a wounded foundation that then sprouted upward. So then now we can begin to incorporate the aggression. That is when we can build upward. And to bring it back to this illustration, if I remove that core wound with I matter, it is now that as we're building upwards, by the way, it doesn't mean that you will remove all these pains and complexes, but rather they just get diminished and reduced in size while you also become larger than it. It's probably one or the other or a mix of both. But then they become a little bit smaller. And as they become smaller, you could then actually see things for what they really are. That you've been carrying a belief system that is not even real and has been imparted onto you. And that you have taken and adapted and expanded onto. And that's okay. And that's okay. You didn't know any better back then. But you know now. And you have the choice now. And this is when you can start to set boundaries. Speak up. Share what you believe. Because imagine this. If you know you matter, at the absolute foundation, when you feel you need to speak up, you're going to feel compelled that you can do it. You're going to have the courage to do it. Because all that aggression, everything that's been stored up for so many years, can now be pointed towards this, that you share your ideas, because if people reject it, okay, yeah, it's going to hurt you. It first hits, but your reaction is different, because when you roll it all the way down, doesn't matter what you say. I know I matter. I don't really care. Same thing with setting your boundaries. When before someone would say, oh, can you, do me a favor and go out of your way to do X, Y, and Z for me. I'm just a little bit busy doing this. And this person has been really pushing it with you, and you've just never really been able to say no because maybe you felt dependent. But now, after a lot of inner work, you realize you matter and you remind yourself of that and say, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that today. I'm sorry. And you don't have to be rude about it. You just say, sorry, I got things to do myself, maybe another time. And once you begin to exercise it, that's when your power really starts to compound, and it's genuinely a very beautiful thing. And this is where it becomes very specific to the individual. The tasks that are, or rather the practices, the genuine implementations will vary person to person. And if there's something you can write down to remember as a bit of a mantra for yourself, is this. Now, granted, it's not the most beautiful poetic mantra, but it does the job. And of course, you can refine it and make it your own over time. If you can't see where you're going, turn on the lights. I know, beautiful, isn't it? If this resonated and this was exactly what you needed to hear, but then feel like you actually need a lot more support and guidance, down below, click that link for the waitlist. It's for my school community, where I'm providing an environment for men who are ready to actually peel off that persona, recognize their patterns, and get to the core of what it is that they're needing and what it is that caused them to now live the life they have now. And also not only have the community, but be provided an entire system. And I'm giving all that for free. I will also be on Sundays providing group sessions. Every single Sunday, I'll be with the group, answering any questions they have about anything in particular with the system, or a personal question about their own journey. And if that is exactly what you've been needing, click that link, read the information, and join the waitlist. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.